Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. It is Sunday, March 20th at 11:36 p.m. Purdue has just secured a position in the Sweet 16 next week in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Hope you're doing well. Purdue beat Texas 81-71 tonight up in Milwaukee, and they did it by doing something they haven't done a great job at. A couple things they haven't done a great job at this year at different times. Number one, they took pretty good care of the ball. They only had 11 turnovers. And the second thing they did really well is they hit free throws. And did they ever hit free throws? Texas decided to adopt a position since they were drastically overmatched size-wise. They decided to just beat the living hell out of Purdue. They hacked and hacked and hacked Purdue to the tune of 46 free throws were shot by Purdue. In all honesty, Purdue could have shot a lot more. With about 4 or 5 minutes left, the refs changed the way they were calling the game. Purdue set an NCAA tournament record with the amount of free throws shot. 46 free throws shot, 33 made. So they shot 71.7% from the free throw line. I've been talking to you guys, if you come here often, all season, that 70%, hitting 70% of your free throws is kind of a magic number for Purdue. When they do it, good things seem to happen. They did it tonight, and they secure the victory. There's a couple interesting subplots happening right now. One of them, of course, is the Big Ten is being decimated. There are only two Big Ten teams left, Michigan and Purdue, of course. And I don't care about conference loyalty, but the media narrative is funny, right? Because the Big 12 is the superior conference, according to everybody. This whole season, really, that's what they were saying. And then the Big 10 has done its best to write this narrative effectively in the postseason as team after team fell. I mean, let's make no bones. Other than Wisconsin falling, the rest of them were playing straight to seed, and so they were just lower seeds, and that was going to happen. But Purdue handling their business is a big deal for a lot of reasons. Number one, if Purdue can play the seed straight out, they get to the Final Four. Put your head around it. Purdue can handle their business, play to seed, they go to the Final Four. In front of them, they've got number 4, I think, UCLA, number 8, North Carolina, and 15th seed, St. Peter's. That'll be the team they play next week. St. Peter's is playing well. You can't diminish the importance of a team just kind of feeling like they're a team of destiny. St. Peter's is one of only 3 15 seeds to make it to the Sweet 16. And I hope they enjoy this week. It's going to be a magical time for them in New Jersey. And I hope this is it. This is their last stop, and Purdue can keep going. If Purdue can get to North Carolina or UCLA, I think a lot of people would say that's a pretty solid run in the tournament. But the really interesting thing about watching Purdue play is they're not playing close to their best basketball that they can at this stage. Like, they can get better right now in a hurry with just a couple things. Number one, really interesting thing happened in the first half. Jaden Ivey was getting held around the waist by Texas. So they decided we're going to take away Purdue's bigs by just playing physical, and we're going to take away Jaden Ivey by holding him around the waist. At one point, he was trying to just shake a guy just to get to the ball to receive an out-of-bounds pass. And a Texas guy grabbed him around the waist. And I noticed that was the 4th time I had noticed that tactic being used, and it had been called a foul one time. One freaking time. That's not basketball, by the way, guys. That's... but that's all right. It's frustrating to watch that stuff because the whole idea of that free movement and allowing players to play is something that every year you hear that garbage in college basketball. Now that Purdue has a truly dynamic scorer, he's not being free. He's not being allowed to freely move, and that hurts a little bit. Let's go through the stats. Trayvon Williams off the bench. He was brilliant shooting. 10 for 13 from the floor. Excellent. Excellent game. 10 for 13 from the floor, 22 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. He had a bunch of turnovers. And those kill me, honestly, because he's the leader, because he's the guy that I think the young guys look to, because he's the guy that really defines the success of this team. I mean, he's super laid back. He has a good time. But I said it to my son's friend, Jared, who often comes on to the QuickCast Live. He could come right in here if he wanted to. But I said to him, "You don't if you don't win, Trey, you don't get to dance." And I think that taking away his ability to dance might be like taking away his left arm. I think he loves dancing, loves celebrating. He's a big kid. He did not shoot free throws well. He was 2 for 4. A couple of those would have made the game a little less palpable. Like literally, I wouldn't have felt it as much in my chest, but that wasn't the way it was going to be. Ivy went 8 for 9 from the stripe. Eric Hunter went 8 for 9 from the stripe. Sasha Stefanovic went 4 for 5 from the stripe. Zach Edey, 7 for 12. He missed a couple front ends, which has happened, but 7 for 12, I guess, is serviceable at least, right? I mean, it's close to that 70% number. And Ethan Morton was 2 for 3 from free throw line. The team did their job. I mean, that's a ton of action on the free throw line. It's tough to say the word action and free throw line together, but we're doing it right here. Zach Edey finished with 11 points, 10 rebounds. And he was getting pounded on. He had 1 turnover, but literally he had, every time he'd get near the ball, he'd have 3 guys around him. And my guess is he's going to have lacerations all over his arms and legs because just the nature, the way they were doing it. He fouled out one guy, put another guy, nearly fouled him out. But really, Williams was much more effective from the court. I said it before the game, Eric Hunter's play is going to define if Purdue can succeed in that game. Well, Eric Hunter from the field was only 1 for 7, so he didn't shoot that great. But Eric Hunter played a solid game. He only turned the ball over twice. He had 3 assists, 11 points. Solid game. And you know what he didn't do? He didn't turn the ball over versus their press. They tried the press. It just wasn't very effective. And a couple times when he danced backwards, when he fell back into the teeth of the press, kind of allowing them to reset and send another guy up into the corner, I got pretty nervous, but he was clearly doing something he felt comfortable with and that he had practiced, and they'd find a way to find Morton over and over in the center of the court. Ethan Morton, I cannot tell you, his 8 points and 2 rebounds, 2 blocks. By the way, he blocked a 3-pointer in the first half, which is awesome. But those 8 points really don't tell the story of how important he was. Defensively, he was huge. He shut down Marcus Carr after Marcus Carr was kind of running through Purdue's defense unabated. Marcus Carr, by the way, we never get to see him, never will see him again against Purdue, thank God. But he had 23 points in his final gasp, his final swing at Purdue. He looked very good. I still don't like to see Purdue playing him. Jones, who's played Purdue twice in his career, had 17 points. But Purdue did their job. They handled their business, and they survived. They advanced. And to do it by 10 points, I guess, is somewhat some cushion. But in reality, as we all watched, and you could feel that Purdue really needed to hit free throws down the stretch, it felt quite a bit closer. And I don't know what's going to happen to me if Purdue gets past St. Peter's and they're in a close game versus North Carolina. Boy, I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. So that's Purdue's 29th win on the season. They're now 29-7. Just if you like history, we can compare them a little bit to the 2018 team who had 30 wins after the second round, and then they fell to Texas Tech and Chris Beard. So another neat subplot. Matt Painter finally gets that monkey off his back. The Chris Beard problem of losing to Beard both at Arkansas, Little Rock, and Texas Tech. Now he can move on about that, and he never has to lose to Chris Beard again. My guess is, like I said, I think they're going to play again. But in the first half, one thing that was disconcerting, I think, for every Purdue fan, before I go on to the live section, is that Purdue had a real chance to blow this thing out of the water. It felt like they should have been up by about 15 to 25 points at the end of the first half. Instead, they were up by a pretty slim margin. They were up 36-30. Almost right away, that 6-point lead fell to nothing. It completely evaporated in the second half, and it felt, well, we're in for a dogfight. Sure enough, that the game stayed close, went back and forth for quite a bit before Purdue secured it and put it away. A lot of people on here. That's great. I think you guys are all excited. Go to the top. Nathan Anderson says, "Demons exercise." Word, man. So that's a big deal to see Painter move on. What a big deal. John Younger. Morton was great, no doubt. Morton was huge. Zach Young says, got a text message saying the game was rigged in our favor because of the free throws. Well, Zach, the people that said that don't watch a lot of basketball because if you watch the game, I would bet if you watch the game, they could have called a foul every single Purdue offensive set just because of the nature of basketball that Texas was playing. And maybe this is our problem, by the way, with Beard. It's the same problem Purdue has with Wisconsin. It's the same style of play. It's a throwback, ugly style play. It doesn't work in modern basketball. He needs to move on. Sorry, there we go. He needs to move on and figure out that game doesn't work in the broader field. Works really well when you got a couple pros. I think he had 2 or 3 guys that went on the NBA on his Texas Tech team, so it's easy to succeed there. But playing this game where you just beat the hell out of teams and you drag down, you play a brand of basketball where it's all predicated on daring the officials to call a foul every single possession. It doesn't work. And good for Purdue for winning. I don't know what the autofocus is doing right now. I apologize, but none of you guys want to see me anyway. Anyhow, let's see. Team win, Joe Siegel says. Robert Randy says, please work on free throws, guys. No, we aren't getting hammered every bit as much next Friday or a bit as much Friday. So Purdue will play Friday, I guess. That's what that means. Purdue's not going to become a better free throw shooting team, guys. Got bad news. And it's just not going to happen. So hitting 70% is pretty darn good. That's, like I said, that's the waterline that Purdue needs to worry about, and they got past it, so that's great. Let's see, what else? Joe Siegel said, defense really stepping up. Imagine if threes were falling. Let's look at that really quick. It's a very good point, but Purdue only hits 35% of their threes. Sasha stays freezing cold, 0 for 4. 0 for 4. Ivy goes 50%, 2 for 4. One of those was really deep that he hit. Eric Hunter, 1 for 5 from 3. And he's been pretty rock solid from 3. But if this team, that's kind of my whole point about saying this team isn't even playing their best version of their game. They're really not playing their best version right now. And I don't know why this thing's... There we go. Sorry, I'm having a technical problem where cannot figure it out. Autofocus will not focus on me. It's focused on the microphone every time. Doesn't matter to you guys. Anyway, that stuff bothers me. It makes me nuts. Let's see. Yeah, Andrew Day, that's a good point. I think that's a very good point. If the game was a Big Ten game, Purdue would have shot 10 free throws. Andrew Day says that. Yeah, it's a good thing it was a neutral court. It's a good thing that these refs are... I don't know if you know how this situation works. The refs get graded out every game during the NCAA tournament, and dependent upon if they grade out well, then they get to move on as well. So they're trying to put on their best. They're trying to impress, and I think that helped Purdue today where they're actually calling fouls. So that's good. John Faker, old pal, says Jaden Ivey may have played his best game all year. His decision-making was incredible. I think that's kind of the underrated thing when you look at his stat line, right, is that his decision-making was really, really good. He didn't shoot a shot in the first 10 minutes at all, I don't think. Hey, LBD. How many shots did Ivy have in the first half? 0 shots in the first half. There we go. Thank you. Thank you both. So that's exactly the tip of the cap that John's talking about. 0 shots in the first half, and yet Purdue was ahead. And that's because of good decisions. He's got to play the game like that, and he's got to get even better. The next step is maybe they'll allow him to play basketball. Maybe they'll allow the thing to get free flowing a little bit, and then on top of that, he'll get loose. He'll be able to use his speed, and Purdue will do some big things. Let's see. His first shot was a dunk, says Ruda Chris. Yeah, that was a hell of a dunk too. The one where he drove right down Main Street. That was awesome. I have no idea why I can't get anything to focus right now, but anyway, so. Let's look ahead. Purdue's going to play St. Peter's next week on Friday now, and Purdue, like I said, wins 81-71 over Texas. Thanks for tuning in today. Thanks to our sponsors, Gridiron Metalworks, Martin Vintage and AJ's. We appreciate them. And how about that? And thanks for tuning in. Like I said, to you, thanks to everybody who's live. Tune into the post-game comments. I know I'll watch those here in a minute, see if I can glean any more. And we'll have some thoughts for you over the next 4 days before Purdue plays again, next 5 days, if they're playing Friday. So that's a good one. Handle Jones says, need Edey to get confidence, go up stronger next game. Yeah, there's one play specifically, Handle, that I think of where Edey was completely surrounded, and he the guy that was closest to him, I think, was 6'7" or 6'6". At that point, he's just got to use his sheer strength, right? But he double and triple teamed, and at that point, I think he had 2 guys on the inside and maybe 1 behind on help. But you can't give him that chance, right? So I don't know if Purdue. Well, St. Peter's is going to play a similar game in that they're going to be undersized, but they're not going to try to handle Purdue in the same way. They're not going to be able to handle Purdue in the same way that Texas did, because Texas had 3 pretty decent athletes that were undersized. My guess is St. Peter's has 1 guy that they can play at power forward. I know they play a fast pace. Again, it's a bit like the Yale game, so get ready for something like that. But I'll be honest, I don't expect for Purdue to keep that one close. And I expect for Purdue's size to be completely overwhelming to them. I expect for Ivy speed to be completely overwhelming again. There's something you simply cannot prepare for speed and size like that. There's nothing they can do. And I know they played a good team in the first round, but I still I don't think they can prepare for it. And so I know you guys have heard me express doubt at certain times, but Purdue, the team, doesn't need to listen to me at all. They need to understand that every team that they play from here out, everything matters. It's absolutely imperative to look at that team as if they're playing the 95 Bulls, right? I don't know if that's the right year, but handle them all with immense amount of respect. And even though Purdue will be in the position they should beat the living hell out of that team. And I know they're playing for their life, and I don't want to get too cute and all that stuff, but no reason to not leave any doubt versus that team. So thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you later. Have a great day. God bless you. I'm so happy that Purdue is moving on to the Sweet 16. Hammer down. Talk to you soon.